This is Jason J. Lewis, the voice of Superman on Justice League Action.
This is Mark Wade, writer of Superman Birthright.
And you're listening to the Krypton Report.
And you're listening to Krypton Report.
Up in the sky, look!
It's a bird!
It's a plane!
It's the Krypton Report!
The All Things Kryptonian podcast, including Superman and Supergirl.
We discuss games, movies, cartoons, TV shows, and comics.
Find us on Facebook, Instagram, YouTube, and Twitter. Welcome to Krypton Report. I am Tyler, and today I am not Superman Blue. I will be Nightwing. And not the Nightwing you're thinking, but I am also joined by not Superman Red, but Flamebird. Those Kryptonian heroes of Kandar.
Like Kryptonian deities.
That's right. That's what we are, man. That's what my kids don't look at me and think. They're like, oh, that's just Dad. Man. I don't know, though. My daughter's still 2, so she looks at me like I'm everything. And I relish in it daily. I'm like, yes, baby girl, love me. Know that I'm the best there is.
Yeah.
Don't think anything less of Daddy.
Right. Before one day you realize I'm just human.
And then you're like, Dad, you suck. And I'm like, no, right. The bubble has burst. But we're coming at you here with Season 2, Episode 2 of the Krypton Report with the show Krypton. I mean, granted, like, it's been a nice second season. What'd you think, James?
Yeah, 2 episodes in, and I've thoroughly enjoyed both episodes. They've been really good. Every character's held their own. The introduction of the new characters is working really well.
I feel like they know what they want to do this season. Like we talked about before, season 1 was a little bit of a retool of their original idea. I feel like this one's out of the gates. They know what they're doing. And it's rocking, you know. I do want to throw out there, we did put this on our Facebook, that right now DC Universe has season 2, episode 1 of Krypton showing. So if you want to check it out to help get you in, I'm curious if they're
until July 2nd.
Yep, I'm curious if they're going to put like episode 2 on there, or if they're just doing just the 1. You know.
So far, no episode 2 yet.
So I'm curious. I don't remember how long it was when the first episode premiered, but hey, let's jump into this. And I will say that I started this episode, okay. And wait, you know what? Let's hold off on that real quick. We're going to talk something else real quick, a little bit of Superman news. This past week, the first issue of the 3-part DC Black Label book, Superman Year 1, came out. Written by Frank Miller with art by John Romita Jr. And we were talking about this off mic before the show about how much we wanted to discuss this, because I really didn't want to go into it in depth. But James and I just kind of want to touch on it, quickly. James, what's your kind of history, love with Frank Miller? Anything,
Well, I mean, the majority of Frank Miller that I know is The Dark Knight Returns. And the Dark Knight series. I know he's done a pretty famous Daredevil run. I've heard was really good. I've never had a chance to read it. I know he's written something else. What was it, Sin City that got made into a movie?
300.
300. So I actually haven't read pretty much anything else of his. I've seen the movie adaptations, and from my understanding, they're pretty close to being pulled right off of the page. So, people say that just from the Dark Knight Returns alone, they say that he hates Superman. But from my research, from hearing things, that's just like word of mouth. But actually, hearing people in the know that, he actually enjoys Superman. Superman is one of his favorite characters, and was excited to put his own take on the character. So
my thing with Frank is I think I've also looked at his directorial efforts, because he co-directed or worked with Robert Rodriguez on Sin City and then took the lead to direct The Spirit, which was bad. Just bad.
I never saw The Spirit.
So you aren't missing anything.
I've heard.
I even tried to retool it to see if I could find some good in it. It's pretty to look at, but that's about it. I feel like Frank Miller was pivotal in the 80s, and his taste, his structure, his idea was served best. And, I'm not afraid to say this about anybody who's in artistic. I think there's a time where they're most relevant, and then their style fades out. And I feel like, in a way, Frank Miller's best stories are behind him. I feel like his current run, his current stories just aren't connecting because it's out of time. Like, his hyper violence is, and style is not working. And I think that's part of why a lot of people didn't like BVS, is because it was so Frank Miller inspired. And I think a good example of it, for example, is in this story, there's an assault on Lana Lang that it feels more like a Mark Millar story, where it looks like Lana's about to be gang raped. And I just feel like I don't know, it just doesn't connect, but that feels like Frank Miller. Phil and I had talked a little bit about it after he read it, because I messaged him, I read it, I said, hey, message me, just shoot me a message whenever you finish reading it. And he brought up the point that Frank Miller always writes women horribly and always makes them victims. And I, because my thing in this was, I did not like the way Martha was. I thought Martha was horrible. Like, she didn't do anything. She didn't add to it. It's not the Martha Kent that I know and have read and loved. It wasn't.
Well, even the story being about his adolescent years, there was very little of either parent involved in the story. And I mean, there was something going on, the rape angle for Lana Lang. I didn't necessarily be like, oh, Lana Lang's the victim here. You know what I mean? She was trying to do something, and she was just, she was being attacked and overwhelmed by a group of teenagers. You know what I mean? So I didn't necessarily think that, she was the victim per se. Like,
right. I mean, it's not as bad as
helpless.
Previous.
Go ahead.
No, I was gonna say it's not as bad as like previous stories, but yeah. I don't know. Like, first of all, the art is good, and I've said this before, but John Romita Jr.'s art to me is best served when it's characters that are original and not like legendary legacy characters. Like, I love John Romita Jr.'s art in Kick-Ass, because that is a character that, to me, the art goes with the character because it was created together. But Superman is so iconic for so long, and his art is so his own, that I don't see Superman as much as I see his art first, if that makes sense.
Well, granted, there is no Superman in book one.
Well, I mean,
the only Clark. Superman is on the cover.
I don't, but I mean, I don't see Clark. I don't see the characters that I know that I'm reading about. They feel like other, but they don't feel like, that doesn't feel like Jonathan Kent. That doesn't feel like Clark. Doesn't feel like Lana.
Yeah.
Like I said.
I mean,
and
Lana. Lana. She was a redhead. I mean, the art was really good throughout the book. And then the fact that it being Clark, through the majority of the book, he was like up to young teenagers. It wasn't until the very end, the last handful of pages, that it kind of seemed like it jumped through the last few years of high school really fast.
Yeah.
And when it came down to the last couple of pages, Clark looked like almost 18 years old, and he was a little more grown into his own. Throughout the rest of the book, he kind of looks like a child, but they have the, like every other kid in the book, but he, it's not like he's in other stories such as, for All Seasons, or even if you go to Smallville, and, that's Tom Welling. He was 24 years old, portraying a 15-year-old, and, they're like, he's already 6 foot plus tall and statuesque at 15 years old,
yep.
Or the same thing in like All Season.
Yep. So,
it's I don't know. I mean, it's just one interpretation of the character's, growth, his growth to maturity. I mean, is he going to be like this gigantic farm boy coming off, or is he going to be more, I don't know, demure as he grows up and then eventually get bigger, explode into maturity?
I mean, my thing is, it's just, I was watching or reading it, and I don't know, I don't like the way the story, like the Krypton stuff is so quick, and I don't feel like it's even necessary almost. There's like one panel where they try to sell me on emotion.
Yeah.
And I don't connect with it.
It was really fast.
It was like really fast,
but it was beautiful.
Yeah.
The art for Krypton was beautiful, and the explosion and everything like that.
I feel like
give it up to the
was like
the inkers and the colorist.
The story,
which I don't have it in front of me,
was like, yeah, I don't either. It's on my shelf, and they won't stretch. The story like moved quick, and then all of a sudden slowed down, and then.
Yeah, I mean, the one thing that I did find, I enjoyed it. I enjoyed what I read, but I did, it's year one, Superman year one. I didn't really expect the entirety of book one to be Clark's adolescence.
Well, I guess
it's three books, and they're all entitled Superman Year One. I probably expected maybe half of the first book to like be an origin tale. It's just kind of the way it goes. You know what I mean?
Yeah. How's it going to be year?
But one? I didn't expect the entire book to not even show Superman.
Yeah, I mean, I haven't read Batman Year One in a while, and I'm thinking about busting it out to kind of see if he's following a similar model. But my thing with Batman Year One was it was exactly a year. Like, it's him in Gotham as Batman starts out. This starts with Clark's arrival. We skip ahead, and then, is he going to be 18 through the whole, like, from this one on? It's like, it doesn't feel like year one. It feels like just a Superman origin. And one thing to point out is, I read this, and I got to follow up with it, this is the origin of the Superman of his Dark Knight. So this story is the character that eventually that will fight with Batman in The Dark Knight Returns. It's connected in that verse.
Is it? Because
that's what I read that he was writing it in, and I wish I would have saved that article. It was on a comic book page. So take that for what you will.
I mean, like, I don't, because the issue was, at the time, it was the satire and, being Superman being the ultimate foil to Batman in that respect, that he, allowed himself to be used, as it were,
we have
by the government.
Well, we have him going in the military when this ends, which is a new kind of thing for Superman, which might explain his, gung-ho-ness for the government. So we'll see. I mean, this, like I said, I take it all with a grain of salt. Going into this, I was just curious because it is Superman. So I was going to, I was going to read it because I feel like I need to read it just so if anyone says anything, I'm like, this is my character.
I mean, like I said, I almost expected it to be a little more like Batman Year One, not anything like Batman Year One, but you know, in a chronological year, as it were. You know, they go from his infancy on Krypton, which I'm not sure throughout the reading of it, all of the narrative bubbles, all the narrative boxes.
There's a couple.
Was that him like as like full thought as an infant or what? Like,
right.
I'm not sure where the narration came from.
And I got a little confused at some of the narration because it's all in the same word bubbles. Like, it's not like, you know how they'll colorize it in comics, like this is Superman talking or this is Clark talking or whatever. They'll colorize it. So you know what character's thinking it.
Yeah, it was all white and black.
So it was a little confusing.
You know, it was square to rectangular to be narration bubbles, as opposed to, you know, the dialogue or the thought bubbles.
The last thing I want to say before I forget is there was a review that came out from Bleeding Cool, I think. That was a review of this issue and the next one. And I guess, so this one's Lana Lang, and the next one is...
Probably Lori Lemire.
Yes.
Or something. Is that her name?
Yep. And then the third one's Lois Lane.
Close.
So each one's like a chapter in his life with a different girl. And I read some critiques of that I'm interested in seeing how it plays out. But honestly, I'm not that impressed by this story.
Kind of makes the year one thing kind of
disappear, not exist.
Yeah, a little moot. The point of calling it year one when the first book literally takes place over the span of 18 years.
I mean,
of his life.
I would have been more interesting if it was like maybe after it's done it'll make more sense, because I was wondering, you know, going into this book if it was gonna be like Clark now, like on a journey, and there was gonna be flashbacks, and that, you know, explains like the past even though we're in 1 year,
right?
But nope.
Like the year one thing could have struck me more as like it was revealed to him that he was an alien by his parents, and then like started to scour the globe for more, you know, extraterrestrial evidence or something, come across, you know, something about his past, what have you. I don't know, maybe even a quick thing to the fortress, but still, like, the year one moniker is just, it doesn't belong.
And I mean,
for the title.
I just feel like it's not really adding anything to the story or the mythos like this book. It was just, it's like a few years ago they did the origin kind of idea of Superman American Alien or whatever.
Right. Yeah. I mean, I'll see how it turns out. I'm obviously getting books 2 and 3.
Oh yeah, I'm gonna finish it because it's only 3 books.
Oh, for sure.
And
for sure, gonna finish it.
But I don't know, bro.
See how it wraps up. See how it all ties together.
Yeah, I mean, maybe we'll be eating crow when we're done because I see what you did there.
Well, you know, I mean, it's just there's a little bit of nitpicks I have, but I don't know. It doesn't. I'm not down on the book. So there's just some nitpicks I have with the story, with the course of the story. Why is it called year one? And just so it's one chapter. I can't really draw too much from it. The chapter was it was different. You know, nothing was really particularly new. You know, like you said.
Yeah.
So
I like the format. I like the big size.
Yeah, it wasn't outstanding, you know, and I do like the prestige format. That's really cool.
So I mean, and it wasn't really that much more. Like, it was $7, but it was like 40 some pages, you know. So if you think about it, you pay what, $3.99 for like 20 some. So it really didn't cost me much, or if at all any. You know? Yeah,
I mean, for a premiere format and maybe a double size issue. So, I mean, it's the same thing with Batman Damned, you know.
If that ever
premiere, the prestige format and the about the same amount of pages kind of thing. Yeah, if book 3 ever comes out.
I'm so sick of stuff not coming out. Like, I get that they wanted to
delays. Yeah, well, delays is one thing, but
Yeah.
Are they retooling it because an adult book is too adult for readers to read? Like, so do they have to go back and change book 3 because, you know, it was too, I don't know, too graphic or too violent or
I don't know. Like it's
you know,
it's a dumb debate, to be honest. Like, but
well, you saw just now along the lines of what we're talking about here, DC Black Label. Did you see that they just came out saying that there's going to be everything's going to go away. It's going to be DC Kids. It's going to be DC, and it's going to be DC Black Label.
Yeah.
So they've got literally books for 8 to 12, 13 to 17, and 17 plus.
Yeah, which it should.
You know, that's how books are going to be. Like, I literally posted on my comic book store's page, like, well, hopefully people will stop complaining about adult content in an adult oriented book.
Right. Like, it's like when you see a rated R movie, there's like a lot of swearing and violence, it's a rated R movie for a reason. Like, there's a there's a rating for a reason. You know,
yeah.
You go in like, oh, it's R, so you have certain expectations of what you're going into. Same thing with when you see a rated G movie. You know, you're probably like, oh, I can watch this with my kids and everything. I don't, you know, it's safe. It's the same thing with the book. Like, it was Black Label. It was supposed to be a mature adult stories. And I mean,
and then adults can't handle it. Like, come on! Like, if you can't handle it, it's like a horror movie. It's a rated R horror movie. If you don't like horror movies and you don't like rated R films, you don't go see it. If you don't want to read a mature adult-oriented book, you don't pick it up and read it and then bitch and complain.
Preach it.
Same, you know what I mean?
Yes.
Like, come on.
It's, yeah, we could go on. Okay, so moving on. We just had it, like I said, we had to touch on it because it just came out, and James and I are, you know, planning to catch up on our comics. But let's
by the way, I got the Miller cover, and Tyler got the Romita Jr. cover.
I did. I actually like the Romita Jr. Like I said, I think like he's an artist like this that for like a cover or like an alternate cover, you know, type thing, I am completely cool with.
Well, the Miller cover, I mean, you know, it's obviously Miller Superman, but also it's a rear shot of the cape and the big S, and then it's, you know, it's Miller Superman, very big, you know, with the big hair and everything. So, I mean, it was good. I wanted the Miller cover. I like the Romita Jr. I wanted the Miller cover, and luckily they had it when I went to pick it up Wednesday afternoon.
All right, so to Krypton. We have now traveled to the depth of space.
19.138 million miles.
Man, James, that's awfully precise. You feeling okay, bud?
So.
Okay, so getting a little bit ahead of ourselves. But
right. Or was it million light years? Something like that.
Yeah.
Say million miles, that's kind of close as it were across galaxies.
This opening has two skimmers searching for Doomsday, and Doomsday shows up, jumps on one of them, punches in the glass, roars, they both crash. Solomon watched that scene several times because he was happy to see Doomsday.
Yeah. Doomsday looks awesome.
He does. Okay, so I saw a behind-the-scenes thing and them talking about it, that Doomsday is a complete CGI creation and a puppet.
Oh, really?
Yes. So I'm really interested to see the puppet, like what he's going to look like. I'm pumped, you know, like, because this is the Doomsday we should have had in the movie. I'm not a hater, you know this, but this is the Doomsday we should have had more of a look towards.
Yeah.
So we cut and we're on Wegthor. Like, I looked at, they had the spelling on it. It was Wegthor, and it's very red, like very red, very Mars looking. So, and then we get like the greatest pep talk of all time from Val-El. We're stealing it back. That was I'm like, really? Like that was his big like it was like 3 sentences, and they've stolen it from us. We're stealing it back. And
they stole our better world. We're stealing it back.
Yeah. I'm like, dude, that is the worst pep talk of all time. I'm like, man, you were letting the L family name down. Okay, because I didn't even like cheer. Like, I want like a pep talk, man. I should be like goosebumps. I should be like, well, yes, I will follow.
Val-El isn't Idris Elba from Pacific Rim.
Oh, dude, we're canceling the apocalypse.
Yeah,
dude, I'm about to. Yeah, man. Like, I'm like, sign me up for a Jaeger. I'm in.
Right.
Or even, you ever seen the movie Role Models with Paul Rudd?
Yeah.
When they're about to play.
It's been a long while.
When they're about to do the LARPing at the end, and the kid's up there like saying his speech. Nay, I say this. And Sean William Scott's like, man, this kid really jazzes you up. That was more like, I was more gung-ho for that than I was for this speech. I'm like, I would not go fight General Zod with that kind of motivational speech. So we get that. And then we're on Kalu.
I think before we get there, though, Lyta is confronting Zod about the 2 Sagittari that died, looking for Doomsday, and she's
she
basically he's just like, they're nobody, you know, they're nobody. Their lives mean nothing. But you know, you can't do that to people. You can't take regular citizens, put a gun in their hand, and expect them to do and, you know, be these trained Sagittari. And she wants to train and make people better, so that their lives don't mean anything. That they can stand up for themselves. That they can take care of themselves when it comes to war.
Do you? Let me ask you this: with Lyta, do you want her to go like down the dark path, or do you want her to have redemption?
You know, I feel just the way that she was, dealing with stuff in this episode. I feel that she's going to have more of a redemptive arc. You know, we got Jaina in this episod. And I mean, the only reason I'm bringing her up is because of how she talks about Lyta and the Zod legacy and how she raised Lyta to be a killer. So, you know, Lyta, since she doesn't have Seg-El, which that's what she's dealing with, is she's dealing with the loss of Seg. And she doesn't know how to do that, and the only thing she can do is be how she was raised, how she was trained, you know, and she's basically probably second in command. I mean, she's called Primus, so she's probably second in command to General Zod, and you know, she has to put on a face for him. One, she's probably under some pressure that she's his mother and younger than him, but also that she's dealing with something she doesn't know how to deal with, and the only thing she can do is, you know, be what she's always been trained to be. But she definitely is hurting with the loss of Seg and trying to manage, but not doing it very well.
James, always the man of such eloquent ways of put.
I try.
This is why I keep you
around. So I feel that, you know, with his return, you know, she's going to see something, you know, she's going to see the world differently again, and have more of a redemptive arc going forward. But definitely in the last 6 months, she took a dark turn because she didn't know what to do, dealing with that loss.
Well, I can get behind that. I just wanted your thoughts. So all right. So let's continue on here.
Yeah, now on to Kalu.
So I will say that I don't know, like I'm really big on like the way people look and like the costuming and like their design. I'm really enjoying this season because I like Seg's hair. The first season, he just had a really bad bowl cut, and it bothered me. But so Lobo takes Adam Strange's Zeta beam and tosses it in the water.
Yep, throws it in the creek.
Like it's nothing. He's like, hey. And
it's like, what is this? And he starts to say something. Nah.
Lobo has the best line when he says, I'm Segel. Does that mean he's like, whatever you say, Siegel. I loved it because then he kept calling him Siegel. And I'm like, that's awesome because like we learned and we both felt dumb for not realizing was Segel was a play off of Siegel.
Yeah.
And I was like, oh man, when I learned that, I was like, man, I feel dumb for not knowing that.
So what's interesting is I watched it now, whatever, closed captions are closed captions. You don't know who wrote them or why. You know, when you watch something like Smallville or something and they talk about apocalypse, you know, they're talking about the planet apocalypse, but it's not spelled that way. They spell it like you would normally spell apocalypse.
Yeah.
So I was watching it and during my rewatch, I put on some closed captions, and when he was saying Seagull, they were putting Seagull, like Seagull, not like Seagull, like the name, like the last name. They were calling him Seagull. I was like, oh, that's terrible.
That is terrible. Man, what the heck?
Right.
That's not cool.
Yeah. I don't think that's how he was referencing him, and it's surely not what it was intended. It was Siegel as in Siegel and Schuster.
Right.
That's exactly what it was. So yeah, you don't know what goes through the mind of those people who are typing that stuff out. I don't know if they get a script or if they just like listen and type and you know, scribe what they hear. I'm not sure exactly how the closed captioning, you know,
how it works.
Thing works. Yeah. I assume it's scribed beforehand, obviously, but yeah. So I was like, oh man, that's awful.
Yeah. I'm like, that makes me mad right now. I'm a little mad. I'm going to admit, a little mad right now, James.
All right. Well, I will take us a little bit farther. So we've got, Lobo. He has Adam and, Seg. So we just call him Seagull now?
Yes, I'm completely cool with that.
All right. So we have Seagull and Adam chained up to a tree, and Lobo is having a good old time. He's ready to slaughter them. Like he's got maces and all kinds of stuff, and his line of talking about cutting Segel open and strangling Adam with his intestines and cracking open his skull and taking a deuce in his head. I don't see the connection there. He's like, it's just the overall graphic nature. I forget the exact line, but yeah, it was like he is just like beyond, creative in a horrible way, but.
Well, what I love is that he gets really mad when they don't know who he is. But we learn that Adam Strange knows who he is. But
after he says his name, yeah,
Siegel's like, what? Who? He's like, you never heard of me? Blah blah blah. The blah blah blah. And then
he calls himself like Mr. Machete, Master Machete,
the main man.
The main, yeah,
we know that one.
The Archbishop of some kind of triple fish god church or something. I was like, what?
And yeah, he's a something in this episode. Like
they wrote him wild, and the guy playing him, God, why can't I remember his name? Emmett something, is that it?
Man, I'm gonna look this up.
Yeah. It's messed up because he did play in Constantine as Jim Corrigan. But the way they wrote him and the way that guy is playing him, like he is going all out and he has got to be having some fun. Like the bloopers from Lobo, like come second season wrap up, That would be hilarious to watch.
Emmett J.
Scanlon. I knew it was Emmett S.
So I can see why you would want to do a Lobo show, but he would need some serious, really good cast with him, because I don't know if Lobo's, I don't know, has the emotional range to carry a show of, like, I don't know. I'm not, like I said before, I'm not a Lobo fan. I enjoyed his character in this, you know, but I would never be like, man, I'm going to read a Lobo comic. I'm just like, okay, well.
Yeah. Well, after watching this episode, I'm probably going to get on, and I've been thinking about it. I've just been busy, but I'm going to get on DC Universe and go watch The Main Man Part 1 and Part 2 of Superman, the animated series.
Yeah, no, that's cool. That's fun. Like, yeah, that's a good one.
No matter what, every time I see Lobo, okay, it doesn't matter what version or anything, every time I see Lobo, I hear Brad Garrett go, "Whoa, mosquito," and take one of his hand cannons to shoot a mosquito out of the sky.
The Main Man. We'll come back to Lobo here in a minute, but so we're going in order of, like, the flow of the episode here. Drew Zod says to Lyta when they're talking about she wants to go and train these recruits on Waithor, that he says, "I need you close." And like I told you last week, I'm wondering if there's something where he needs to protect her to secure his own future or something.
Right. Like, I'm not thinking, I'm wondering, like, because we brought up the fact, like, is she pregnant with him?
Yeah, like is there some significance here? Like, you know, could like, you know, Seg scanned his. We saw where Seg and Nyssa put their thumbs into the thing for their genetic material to make Corvex. Mm-hmm. Like, is Seg's, like, genetic information now in the database that someone else could just put theirs in there and, like, I want to make a child with Seg-El, boom, you know? Or is the database I mean, if it's where the children are made, like, wouldn't it have a copy of their information? Like, could you just go up there and start playing on a computer and create people? Like,
right.
I don't know. It's a deep thought. It's a deep thought, my man. But we do see that Nyssa gets injected and is sent to find Jack Sawyer and Val-El. And one of my first thoughts was, is she getting injected with, like, nanobots to blow her up like a bomb?
Or some kind of tracking device, or... And
listening. I figured tracking, but I was like, can they listen? Can they hack into her brain? Like, what's their technology?
Right. Yeah, I don't even know. The guy, when he injected her, he said something about her that allowing her to survive on the surface, because they did bring up the fact that on the moon's surface, you know, they have to have breathers and things like that they couldn't survive. That's why they, like, live and work in tunnels and underground and in the mines and stuff.
Exactly. So curiouser and curiouser, said the Mad Hatter. Now we jump back to
wrong planet,
Kalu, and we find out that Brainiac took Lobo's planet. And I missed little bits because he was talking so fast. Like, did Lobo kill his own parents and, like, half his people too? Because he talks about being the last of his kind, and
yeah, he does call himself the last Zarnian. He did kill his parents. He did kill his people. I forget what he had said exactly, because, like you said, he talks so quickly. But he did say that he killed his people with something. And I think it's fairly comic accurate. I don't know specifically what, but from what I understand, he killed his people with some kind of experiment and wiped out his entire race.
Makes me wonder if that would add some emotional depth and levity to his character, of why maybe he's dealing with that in a certain way. But that's just me speculating, you know, not having any kind of knowledge of, you know, the character per se of the comics.
Right. You know, with the violence and the language and the necessary, like, grotesqueness to, like, a Lobo show, I think it would probably fit really well on DC Universe.
Oh yeah.
Given the opportunity to basically do whatever the hell they would want to do.
Oh yeah. That's been the joy of DC Universe.
Yes, sir.
So we learned, one of my predictions kind of came true, that Seg in some way is infected with Brainiac, because Seg takes Lobo back to Brainiac's body, and he's got like a little look, reminds me of the thing from Ghostbusters, you know, looking for Brainiac. And
yeah, one of their like PK devices.
Yep, the PKE meter, and it's not picking up Brainiac, but it starts beeping when it's around Seg. And then we see that Seg actually gets like powers and strength because of Brainiac, is able to do things.
Yeah, it was pretty cool. Like, he was scanning the body, but he said there was no Brainiac there in the body. And so he got real mad, and he wanted to kill one of them to find out where Brainiac went. And then during the little fight, or the imminent attack, Seg kind of uses telekinesis and shoots his hook off into a tree, and the device lands at his feet and starts beeping off, like, and he's like, Brainiac is in you, and he does a finger in a hole gesture.
And also, I mean, Seg makes the comment about Krypton is 1.938 light years away, and like he says that, and you know, that's when Adam Strange's like, man, that's extremely like accurate. And
he actually, in that scene, he says something about he wants to get back to Krypton, and Lobo's Craptown. What's so special about Craptown? And yeah, he does. Yeah, Craptown. But it's funny because the first person who says that is oddly specific was actually Lobo. When he says first thing, it's 19.139 million light years away from this place or this planet, and Lobo kind of gives him a look like, that's oddly specific, and he says that, and then it's not, and then it's a little bit later on when he says something again, and Adam's like, that's pretty specific.
So yeah, Seg is infected with Brainiac, which I kind of felt like that was going to happen.
I just liked it that Lobo was like that first. He was like, that's oddly specific.
I feel like Lobo's character is just, it's so random because we don't know where he's going to go with it.
Yeah.
And then we cut and we get Jaina with her brother, and they're talking about how they were raised. And this is where, you know, like you had mentioned earlier about how the Zod medal and how she raised Lyta and how she should have been. And, you know, they talk about Flamebird. They don't mention Nightwing, but we know from the comics that Flamebird and Nightwing were together. But I wonder if they couldn't mention Nightwing or anything, you know, like if there's some sort of legality to it.
Yeah, which makes me wonder if the name she was talking about, Walk, if that was supposed to be like Nightwing's, I don't know, more or less name, whereas Flamebird and Nightwing are kind of like their deity type. They're what?
They're like their code names.
Yeah.
So I thought of that too. But it's really short. I mean, you know, it's quick, and then, I mean, that's it. And then we cut to Lyta, and basically, I put this, is Lyta in this next scene where she's training is basically Jaina from the pilot.
Mm-hmm. I don't think she had as much gravitas as Jaina's character did.
She doesn't, but I mean, just the way she's acting and just the way she's being and everything.
Yeah.
So it was interesting because we see Lyta keep seeing Seg as she's fighting, and especially as she's looking in at the recruits, and sees a guy who looks similar to Seg, but she sees Seg, so she's losing her mind.
Yeah. This is this is where she really can't deal with it. You know, the guy looks similar to Seg, and she brings him down, and you know, she even loses herself. She gets distracted by her hallucination, with no really better way to put it, of him being Seg. And the guy, you know, he hits her, he lands some blows and everything in her distracted moments. And after the training session is over, she talks to him, and she kind of is slightly vulnerable for a moment, and he kind of advances on her, in that moment, and she is not having it, and she beats the crap out of him because he's not Seg.
Mm-hmm. She does beat the crap out of him. I mean, and then, she asks Drew later on, will he be okay? He's like, do you plan on seeing him again? She's like, no, then he'll be okay.
He'll be fine. Yeah, he said that he couldn't say much about what happened because his jaw was broken. Mm-hmm. So, yeah, she messed him up pretty good.
Yeah, she did. So we get some more back on good old wannabe Mars, Wake Thor. We get Nyssa finds Val and Jax-Or and immediately tells them straight up that she's sent there, she's Zod's spy, and what her mission is, that she would never betray him, and that they have Corvex. And Jax-Or and Val are both, like, pissed off. And I'm like...
Jax-Or mainly.
And, like, they're pissed at her, you know what I'm saying? Like, that she got herself in that spot. But at the same time, like, she straight up came to you, like, hey, this is what happened. And...
part of me sees that in both ways. Like, one, she's being honest with them, but two, I think that was part of the plan, was her to show up and be honest with them.
Right.
So is she either adapting and being honest with them, but also, trying to do what Drew says to, not lose her child, or is the plan exactly that, and she's going along with the plan because Drew has her child? Like, so is she trying to work both and not betray her friends, but also, protect her child? I'm not sure the full extent of what she's got going on, because she does have a communication with Zod, and he wants her to get the codex and bring it to him.
Mm-hmm.
So I can definitely see it going either way.
I agree. And that's why I thought was, and that's what I kind of thought was, interesting is she being honest, or is it all part of the plan?
Yeah. Like, cause there's plenty of movies and television tropes where, the plan is, if you go in and you act like nothing's wrong, you're going to get figured out. But if you go in and, the plan is to tell the truth, that you are there to spy on them, such and such, like, that grants you a certain amount of trust to be able to move further with the plan. You know what I'm saying?
Mm-hmm.
So, but, she definitely wants a different world than what she's got, but she also doesn't want anything to happen to her child. So it's hard to say which way the plan is going to take shape.
And then we cut back, and Adam Strange gets Lobo's gun and blows a big old hole in the middle of Lobo. And that was when Solomon was sitting with me, and he was like, wow. I was like, yep, that just happened, buddy.
Yeah, I think I got Lobo in my mouth.
And I had forgotten about Lobo's healing stuff.
Oh, did you?
Yeah. Like I said, I didn't know. And I'm like, man, I feel like someone just like, we're going to make Lobo be the biggest Wolverine ripoff we can be.
Yeah, I'd have to see when they were created.
Mm-hmm.
But when it comes down to it, like, Lobo is way more powerful than Wolverine.
Oh yeah.
One with strength and abilities, but also two, his healing factor. Like, he can come back from a drop of his own blood.
Yeah, it's like
if there's anything left of Lobo, he can regenerate. Like his healing factor is beyond
ridiculous.
Yeah.
It's like they make Wolverine and they make Deadpool, and DC's like, hold my beer, watch this.
Yeah, right. Well, Deadpool was in the 90s. I think Lobo came out in the 80s.
Yeah, I think he was part of
with
that.
The like heavy metal hairband type stuff.
He was part of that whole more anti-hero movement of the comic books.
First appearance, Omega Men number 3, June 1983.
Man, I just pulled that up. So
I want to see when they were
But that makes me wonder, like, what it was when he first appeared, and then when he became, like, Lobo.
Right.
Yeah. I'm looking at the cover art for that first appearance. That is not the Lobo we know. Let's see. Anyway, this isn't the Lobo podcast. So that's
nearly.
That's when we know he says he'll be back. We got to run, and Adam and Seg take off. They discuss that Seg doesn't want to go back to Krypton because he has Brainiac, and
Wolverine was 1974, by the way, so 9 years prior.
That's cool. Comics.
Yeah.
And let's see. And then we get another. So then we cut back to Jaina in the Outlands walking, and she's about to go into a bar. And we have this really interesting camera work where it pans and basically reveals to us that Jaina has been talking to herself and not her brother the whole time. He was never there because it's one set of footprints and he's disappeared. And I don't know how I feel about that because I really like the idea of Jaina's brother had surviving and kind of changed his own fate, and that she was realizing that, and then that was taken away.
Was it? I didn't recognize that.
Oh yeah, go back and watch it.
I'm gonna have to turn that back on because and check that out.
It just, to me, it means that she resonates and holds lots of guilt for what she's done in her life.
I just didn't see that one because I didn't even look. I didn't recognize it because
you were thinking
like he saved her.
You thought they were walking single file Sand people to hide their numbers. I gotcha. Yeah, go back.
Yeah, let's go with that.
Yeah, go back and check it out, and we'll talk more on it, coming up. But so she goes into a bar, and they basically call her out, saying she's Sagittari, and that they're not going to help her or serve her, and she just starts busting butt, and they start attacking her, and she gets saved by Dev M, who's still alive. I kind of forgot he was alive, to be honest with you.
That didn't strike me that he was alive because I thought he died when they stopped him from being controlled by Brainiac.
Right. So like I'm restarting
I was
season
surprised
1 right now because I'm watching it again with my brother-in-law. So yeah, I need to go back and check that out. But that's where we end season 2, episode 2, Ghosts in the Fire. And James, what would you rate this episode?
What did I give? 8.5 last time. I give this one an 8.5 as well. I had plenty, as much fun with the last one. I liked more Lobo. I was glad to see Doomsday, even just in the opening. I was good to see, Jaina come back. I'm gonna have to go check that out. Lyta not just being an evil dictator, minus the tater. In this episode, that there kind of seems to be a reason that she is acting the way she is. And then, the Wigthorpe stuff, Nyssa, Val. I know it's essential, but it kind of lagged for me. There wasn't much going on there this episode. And when it comes to Jaxer, that friggin' eye thing, like, that weirds me out. So it looks weird, but 8.5. It's the same grade. It was pretty good.
I agree with you. Like this, I don't know. It's ticking up, but it was just, I don't know. I really enjoyed it. I can't wait for more Doomsday. Solomon can't wait for more Doomsday. And so I'm really excited.
It was nice to see the some of the full extent of Lobo this episode, his strength, like his durability. They hit him and they were hurting themselves hitting him. His regeneration, like they blew a big hole in him. His whole center mass had a giant hole in him, and they showed his body reconstructing, his spine rebuilding inside. It was pretty awesome looking.
And of course, that's when my son joins me, and he's like, "Oh, that's Logo, Daddy," because he calls him Logo, and I've told him Lobo, but I think it's adorable, so I don't ever want to like correct him. And then like this huge hole gets shot in him, and I'm like, wow. He's like, wow. I'm like, yep.
Yeah, I'm gonna have to check out some Lobo comics on DC Universe, and because I know back in the New 52, I had checked out a couple of issues of the New 52 Lobo, which was different because it was like some guy who was like.
Yeah,
that Lobo was like impersonating this Lobo.
Yep. Yeah. It originally wasn't supposed to be that, but it was a way of them like fixing it because everybody hated the new Lobo because he was small and he was skinny and he's like some little punk rocker dude. Yeah, I remember people calling him like the Twilight Lobo because they're like, he looks like he's from Twilight, and I was like,
that's funny.
But like, I didn't care enough about Lobo to like say anything. I was like, whatever.
Right. So I definitely want to check some of that out. Plus, I heard his bit in the Justice League of America. Was that during Rebirth?
Yes.
Where Batman had his own Justice League team and Lobo was on it. I heard that was actually fairly interesting, and he had a lot of expletives in his speech, in his dialogue.
Does not surprise me.
No, not at all.
But so that wraps up this episode, and stick around for next week. We'll be back. If you're an Amazon shopper, just remember you can go to southgatemediagroup.com. There's a portal, log into Amazon, and you'll shop into your account just regular, but it also helps keep Southgate running. We're going to be discussing Krypton's Season 2's third episode, which is called Will to Power. And I'll tell you what, this episode has a scene in it that was like a OMG scene, but watching it with my kids, and then my wife, who hasn't watched any of this season with me, made it so much better. So much better. I actually got the mom eyes to where like what are you doing, Tyler, watching this with our children? So yeah, that was a good time. But the episode opens up on Kolu. How do you pronounce it?
Kolu.
Yeah, Kolu. Because I always feel like if you don't pronounce it, it might sound like you're trying to say Kahlua. You know, the alcoholic beverage my sister-in-law drinks way too much of.
Yeah, I've always pronounced it Kolu. I don't know, maybe because my last name's Cole and it's Cole, so it's just an U instead of an E.
Okay, that makes perfect sense. Like, I'm one of those. I'm one of those people, as I've talked about on the podcast before, is like pronunciations. Sometimes I get wrong, but if you say it, then I'm okay. You know, like then I can say it back to you. Pardon me.
Right. Yeah. I thought the introduction, the opening, showing Kolu from space,
Awesome.
Yeah, like it's got several moons around it, and whatever those, I don't know, tentacle spire type things that are all over the planet.
Yeah.
Whatever those are actually like reaching out to the moons.
And then it looks like they're on the forest moon of Endor or Canada.
It's the woods of Ireland.
It's awesome, is what it is.
Yeah, it's really cool. It's really cool looking.
I say
I'm down. I definitely want to. Ireland is one of my 2 visit spots.
Hey,
it's on my bucket list.
Mine too. Mine. But we're picking up where Seg is officially possessed by Brainiac, black eyes and all. Adam's trying to talk their way out, and they're being hunted by Lobo. In this episode, we get a little bit more Lobo. And what are your feelings and takeaways?
I mean, I like this Lobo. He's pretty. He doesn't have a filter. You know what I mean? like whatever he thinks, whatever comes across his mind comes out his mouth.
Yes. And I always love seeing Brainiac. He just looks so good on this show.
Yeah, he looks fantastic. It's nice we get both of them in this, and the Brainiac we get in this episode, which we see here very shortly in this opening, is inside of Seg's head. So with his possession, like he kind of freezes up, and he's not doing anything. He retreats into his head, or not retreats, but Brainiac pulls him into his mind, and it's like the fortress inside of his mind where him and Brainiac interact and are like fighting for mental control of Seg's body.
I like this Brainiac, and I would love to see this Brainiac just show up on Supergirl. It's like, it would be so cool.
I would say wherever this Brainiac shows up, I'm just, Supergirl, I mean, he looks spectacular for television, but you take this design and you tweak it a little bit, probably some added CGI effect or whatever. It's movie Brainiac right there.
Oh yeah, because I mean, if you're doing this in a movie, you'd probably just add more of like the moving metal, or like not tentacles, but like Solomon and I yesterday were playing Injustice 2, but you know how he has his like plug-in spikes and stuff, something like that. But yeah, this Brainiac is beautiful.
Yes, sir. This Brainiac is awesome. The cadence of that actor's speech, the emoting that he puts on through that makeup. Like, not only does the character design look fantastic, but the actor is really good. Like, just the way he speaks, like I said, the cadence and the how just the way they have structured his speech, he sounds very intelligent as well. So, yeah, awesome Brainiac.
So, no, go ahead.
Oh, I was going to move forward here. They're fighting over control, but Seg figures out that while Brainiac can see into his head, see into his mind and his memories, that Seg can do the same.
And this is where he's trying to figure out a way to get Brainiac out of it. And then that's the ultimate goal. He has to get Brainiac out of his head.
Yes. Yes, he does.
And okay. So back Krypton, we're on Wake Thor, and it was nice to actually see it spelled out, because then I actually knew how to pronounce it better. Wake Thor just looks like the Mars of Krypton, and
right.
We have the rebels led by Val and Jax and Nyssa. I still don't know how I feel about Nyssa.
Well, at this point I'm kind of like, is she? I'm a little undecided on her right now. Not on her as a character, just like more of what she's up to and her motivations. Because we know she's trying to work for Zod enough to get Korvex back, her son. So she's she's in this episode and she's doing what she can. We know that she contacted Zod in was it the last episode when she went up to Wake Thor. She spoke to him, so she's in contact with him. In this episode, she seduces her old lover, her military trainer, it would seem, to steal her data, which that little hologram thing that they have inside their arm, that data thing they have inside their arm and can generate those holograms out of it basically through their hands,
is awesome.
That's freaking sweet looking. That'd be awesome to have.
Yes.
So, she's doing what she can, but is she
I don't know, because I feel like, yes, she's
yeah, sorry, I lost my train of thought there.
No, she's playing,
she's playing both sides.
Right. Is she playing both sides?
Is she?
Is she like straight up with is she with Val, but
right.
She just is pretending that she's with Zod, Drew.
Yeah.
I'm going to call him Drew, because this is
the only right. The only thing that makes me question is the somatic reconditioning that they use. You know what I mean?
Yes.
Like, did they put her in that and now she's like she's working as a double agent. She's there sympathizing with the rebels because she was once one of them, but she's working for him, or you know what I mean? So it's like, so it's hard to see with the level of like mind control that they've got going on, but
Yeah, like
I think I like Nyssa more this season so far than I did the majority of last season until the end.
Yeah, I agree totally. And it's kind of one of those things like we'll wait and see who's been repossessed, the synaptics. So we'll see. I'm hoping that maybe there's some surprises and stuff in here. So I don't know. I'm not digging Lyta. I don't know. I just feel like it's not Lyta.
Yeah, Lyta's very. I mean, she does seem like a completely different person from last season. Just how much she lost. She lost Seg and she lost her mother, and I mean, Dev isn't around, so it's like, I don't know, is the only person she has her son. I mean, quote unquote. I mean, we figure and we know that it's her son, but still.
Yeah.
So she's like leaning heavy into him and his beliefs.
It is very interesting.
Like, yeah, because like she's fairly mean so far. She doesn't have any of that kind heart that she had from last season, trying to like spare lives and save as many people as she can. Now she's like gung ho for war.
Mm-hmm. Is she just being a true Zod or what?
Yeah, like you could see that this version of her might raise that version of Zod. You know what I mean?
That's what's gonna, man. I am trying so hard not to get into
what, the time travel logic?
Yes.
Or yeah, like if she were to cease to exist, would that Zod blink out of existence, or what? You know what I mean? Like, it kind of makes it seem maybe that way just because of Seg went into the Phantom Zone, and then all of a sudden the cape changes before your eyes. So it kind of seems like traveling to the past. This is kind of like the Back to the Future thing. Traveling to the past has effects on the future moving forward.
And I'm trying to stay true to like DC rules of time travel. They use a lot with the Flash and stuff. And Marvel kind of just threw all that out the window. So time travel could be whatever they wanted it to be for any, but whatever.
Yeah. Well, I mean, there are scientists who support the
it's all
singularity. Time travel is all theoretical. It's all story wise. So you can use whatever version of time travel you want to use,
and that's fine. Just
whatever version, whatever rules you set up, then stick to those rules.
Exactly. That's what kills me. It's just like I was telling my wife, in a vampire movie, I always hate if there's a vampire movie and someone just Googles vampire stuff and that's like, oh, that's what they learn. I'm like, no, that's not how it works. Like, you always need that little conversation in every vampire movie where the human, the hunter, or the vampire set the rules of this reality. The rules that are in Underworld are not the same that are, you know what I'm saying?
Right.
So you gotta set the parameters.
Yeah.
I do think it's interesting, just the Dev M and Jaina relationship.
Yeah, you get some of that in this episode. Dev is broken.
Yes.
He's drinking. He passes out outside in the Outlands. Like, Jaina brings him inside because he could die passed out outside.
I do really like the conversation that Seg and Adam have about Brainiac, where he was birthed. They're just like, it's very like odd couple, buddy cop kind of thing.
Yeah, their chemistry this season is really good. Last season, they were at odds because Seg didn't know what to believe.
Yes.
Now, basically, Seg is like, I'm along for the ride. We got Doomsday. We got General Zod back from the future. We've got Brainiac, who we thought was from the future, but is from right now. like I was in the Phantom Zone. Now I'm on an alien planet. Like, he is now 100% along for the ride, and his chemistry with Adam is really good. They're awesome together.
And I'm telling you, I wish that while they're on Kalu, like, Seg would experience something, because it looks like they're on a yellow sun. And just think about, it's always one thing I find fascinating in Superman comics is when Superman goes off-world and he still has his powers.
Right.
And I know that even in his being solar battery, they would still deplete him.
Yeah. Yeah, there's a blue sky, it would seem, on Kolu, but, just the color of the sky is more about the composition of the gases in the air, along with the light and the visual.
But think about when
in the visual spectrum.
Lake Thor definitely is closer to the red sun of Krypton than Krypton is, so it has that red hue to it. But anyways, I just feel like Seg should have something. That's all I'm saying.
Well, it would be cool to see one of these Kryptonians experiencing a power shift of sorts, going from basically normal human, what they would consider, to being this super being, like the way Adam and Seg were pummeled by Lobo.
Yes, I'm still waiting for an episode where Seg and Adam get shot to Earth or something, and Seg gets to experience Earth either in the past or the present. If that means he has to, because all right, how dope would it be if we have an episode where Seg and Adam get thrown to Earth and Seg has to fight the Superman of that Earth right now, who's actually, the Zod version. So, that'd be pretty sweet. I'm just saying, that'd be dope.
Right.
Because Brainiac is, how about when Brainiac's, twisting Seg's mind by trying to get him, he takes the skies of Nyssa and Kim, Lyda, and all that. Seg's plan to get Brainiac out of his head is, one of those, we have, a 3-second window to make this work.
Right. Yeah. I did like the fact that he's using the memories of his friends and his lovers to try and gain that advantage, that control in his mind. And he's just going along with it as we come to find out. He's going along with it, especially when he uses Lyda against him. And it's funny too, because that's if we go to that's when we go to the next episode.
Yep.
Oh well, I'll use it right now. Anyways, he since we're doing 2 episodes here, and that's right in the beginning of the next one. But he's using Lyda and memories to get to Seg, and he describes a memory of Lyda, their meeting, the way they meet, and Brainiac tells it to Seg, trying to get under his skin, and then, metaphorically speaking, since he's already in his mind. But and then at the beginning of the next episode, we actually get that memory, and Brainiac is like, oh, so this is how you met. Seg kind of fed him a false memory just to play him until the birthing chamber was ready to pull him out of his body.
Yep.
So, yeah, that was pretty cool. And then so they're in the birthing chamber, and Lobo.
So you've been hanging out with Solomon.
Does he say Logo?
Yes, he does. And Junia will correct him, and he'll go, no, I call him Logo. Because he's on Injustice 1. We were playing that, and yeah, he calls him Logo.
Nice. So Lobo has tracked them. He's been following them, and he tracks them to the birthing pod, and he goes to attack Adam and Seg, and a force field lops off his arm. And that was funny too, because he's freaking out, and then he just starts laughing. You cut off my favorite limb. Apparently he's right-handed. But and then Lobo's like, I'm gonna come get you, and Adam is like, he's smug right now because he can't get to him. And Lobo is, I'm coming to get you, and he pulls off his blaster, and he says, I hope you're not the squeamish type, and blows his own head off. It's funny too, because he gives a salute when he's falling.
And that's the part that I was watching, and I'm like, what? And my wife just looks at me, and Solomon's like, whoa. wow. And my wife just looks at me, and that's when I got the mom eyes. Of, what are you? And
That's when you're like, he grows back. Don't worry about it. He grows back.
And both my kids are laughing, and Junia's looking the way Adam was looking, where it's just a shock on his. But yeah, and I mean, it's one of those parts because this is what you and I talked about. Lobo grows back, but it's like, where does he grow back from? And he starts growing back from the hand that's inside and not the body. Like, what would
kind of makes
like? How does he choose where he wants to grow back from?
Exactly. It was like, is he able to make that choice? Because yeah, he basically decides that he's going to grow back from the arm inside of the chamber, which is funny because then he's just a head, a torso, and two arms. And he goes and he starts kicking Adam's ass.
Yes, and that was it was a little funny and it was creepy, but it was interesting because I mean, I almost would have liked some sort of play on, a human on Krypton has powers. Like Adam would start to experience things. But I do love that, Adam, they're trying to get away from Lobo, and he's just the torso and arms. And he pulls Seg out of the chamber, and Brainiac's going back, growing back. And then Lobo looks over at his Brainiac, and he's like, what? And he's like, oh, there he is. And he's kind of like, well, crap. Looks like the Crap Town boys were right. Delivered on the goods after all.
Yeah.
And
so it seems like Seg used telekinesis one last time before Brainiac was out of his body.
Yep.
And threw Lobo away, gave him the distance to Zeta beam out of there.
And that's the last we've seen of Lobo. So I mean, so far, I guess.
Yeah, that's the last we've seen of Lobo.
And he cuts what do you call it? He cuts Brainiac and the cutaway, and that was pretty much the coolest scene of this episode. Was just Lobo growing back.
Yeah,
and then
his regeneration and then
Adam and
using his big old hook to kill Brainiac again.
We get Adam and Seg Zeta beaming back to Earth. But before they do that, what do they do?
To Krypton.
They give Lobo the finger.
Yeah.
Which I thought was pretty, that's straight up American. That's earthly American right there.
Yeah.
But yeah, I mean, that was the episode Will to Power. And James, what do you think?
We forgot, one last thing is when they Zeta beam back to Krypton.
Yeah. Seg
is dead when he gets there. And Adam gives him CPR by basically pounding on his chest, and he wakes up.
I was like, was he dead or just out of it? I don't know. He's like, was I dead? Nah, man, you're fine. Fine. I was dead. Nope.
I feel weird. Like I was dead. No, not at all. Was I dead?
And I feel like
just a little, but I undeaded you.
Just keeps getting better. With each episode, this season gets better.
Yeah. I mean, the next episode, I would say, so basically
hold on.
I would score this episode. Is that what you were going to? Okay. I would score this episode about a solid 8.5. They've all been really good. I mean, that's the same I've given the first 3 episodes now. So. And
I'm right there with you. So there's not much more we can say. We're going to take a quick break and we'll be back. So here's our little news segment. As James and I are recording, Comic-Con has gone on. We've been behind. It's life. This is something we do for fun. I have small ish. I have work. He works. So we're trying to do this as much as we can. But we just wanted to touch on the first bit. We're going to talk a little bit about Supergirl. Now, Supergirl star Melissa tweeted a photo of behind the scenes of her new costume. And then, so that picture came out, and that was on the 15th. And then it looks like we got the actual high quality release on this past Saturday. So let's discuss her new season 5 costume. First thing I want to say is it's about time. They had teased her getting a new costume before, but I think they kind of fake teased us by that space kind of suit that she got last season to protect her from the kryptonite. But she hasn't had a costume update since season 1.
Yeah, she's basically had the same costume since season 1.
And I mean, Flash has had a costume change every season, right? Okay. Season 1 was the all red, behind the crimson, behind the bolt. Season 2 got the white behind the bolt, and that one stayed. Season 4 is where he got the costume. And I like that costume. Probably and of course season 5 from his daughter in the future, which is a good costume.
Yeah.
And then Arrow, a change in costume every season.
Yes, he has.
Season 3 was so season 1 was just the leather. Season 2 he got the mask. Season 3 is first, I think. Or Arrow hero costume. Season 4 short sleeve. He officially didn't have yet. Season 5 went back to sleeve. So it was slight alternates. And his new costume and again, it looks pretty kind of a hybrid, as well as Zod and all his crew. We've seen Supergirl with weird outfits and pants and stuff before, and I don't know, it doesn't bother me. What about you?
Oh, it doesn't bother me. People are probably just upset they're not going to get their upskirt shots anymore.
Sad, but
it is sad, but no, the pants don't bother me one bit. I've seen Supergirl, different iterations of Supergirl in the past. For whatever reason, I tried posting on Facebook, but it wouldn't let me. A picture of Smallville season 11 Supergirl from the comics, and it's probably the closest representation of this look. She's got the pants on, blue, the red boots that go up high. They're kind of broken in different spots in the comic, but she's got the red boots that go up high. The blue that kind of goes all the way up. And
oh yeah,
I mean, in that comic, it's kind of more of a red coat almost kind of thing that comes off of the back. But I mean, in this still shot here, if you put them side by side, they're pretty close.
Oh yeah, I found some. I'll put those on.
But for some reason, it wouldn't on our discussion thread. It just wouldn't let me post it. It just kept saying failed, so I gave up. I don't know why it wouldn't do it. Yeah.
But, I've said before if they were going to do comic, because, I mean, one thing I liked about her old was she had the skirt. It looked cool, but she had the tights underneath it.
Mm-hmm.
And then the high boots. Now, the new costume.
And it was classic and it was strong. It was a good costume. I mean,
yeah, I feel like
she didn't need a new one, but after so long, it's, nice to change it up for, to keep it fresh and give something else, something a little different to look at.
There's been some in the comics, they just draw Supergirl in her costume ridiculous, skimpy, that I'm just we're just being honest here, okay? And I like that it's a very strong hero costume. It doesn't matter he's a girl. So her look for her new suit, okay? The first picture she tweeted out I was because it was very behind the scenes picture.
You could tell it was just on set. It was the lighting. It was dark,
Yeah.
You could only see one color of blue.
It looks like someone just and didn't even actually take a picture. And her hair looks horrible. It sounds horrible, but her bang. My wife does hair, and stuff, and has. So it's one of those things that, But then, 2 days later, they had pictures that came out of her on set, behind the scenes, and they looked a lot better. And I like the suit. Okay, I don't know what it is about it. Is I mean, it is strikingly different. And but I think I figured out certain. We'll break it quick here. I do like that she still has her, and I like that they're keeping it without the gold behind it. I say that because it helps define Supergirl and not just being super. But this has the S is now imprinted 3D. It's raised like the Superman, which looks really good. I really like that it's the 3D kind of texture. I don't like that the cape now hooks at the top the same kind of fashion and style Superman's cape did, but it does make them look.
Yeah, it's got the same clips as Hecklin's cape. Although I must say, just from this promotional image, the official image, I think it looks better than Hecklin's did.
Oh, yeah.
Because that's the Superman suit. I don't know. It just the material maybe because it was odd. It was new and it was odd.
The material looks more the Vane's suit. So it's interesting. I like that there's the still the red. There's different shades that we couldn't tell.
Yeah, there's a darker shade and a lighter shade. It's got some of that red tubing kind of to break up the break up the colors to separate the dark from the light.
So that's cool. I think the one thing I find most strikingly in an odd sense is just her. It's not yellow. It's gold. Like it's straight up, not even the color gold. It looks like she's wearing like gold jewelry. And you pointed this out to me, and I didn't realize it at first, was the fact that there's like a emblem or like a like some sort of, I don't know what the
almost
word.
Looks like kind of like a pin or something kind of thing. Like a brooch or something.
That's the word I was looking for. Above the symbol, on top of the. So it makes it look very different. I don't know. But I mean, it looks good.
And I like that they still got it, how it goes over her hands and she's got her thumbs out of the sleeves like that.
I like that too. It's weird.
I like the way it was like that on her suit, on her old suit as well. So I mean, that's kind of cool keeping that going. Maybe that's a fashion she likes or something, but
it makes it look like it's still in because Tyler's do that, so it's still hurt.
So I'm looking forward to seeing this new suit in action and seeing how and when they bring it in.
Yeah, I figure it's going to come in pretty soon.
You know, honestly, kind of a little thing here. This all just like came together now is. So the Supergirl suit that I was referencing in Smallville season 11 is from the future, from the 31st century, and maybe the 31st century. It's from the future. He time travels forward with the Legion ring, so I'm pretty sure it's the 31st century. But the Supergirl suit she's wearing in that, which is, like I said, resembles this one, it's from the 31st century, and guess who we're getting back this season?
I was thinking
not to kind of jump ahead. Wynn is coming back from the 31st century, so kind of makes me wonder if he doesn't have some kind of hey, this'll, you know, either this is from the 31st century or this'll work better for you, or you know, this has something new, like.
I mean, it is perfectly probable because that is a really, what do you call it? The last thing about her, I get it, but I don't know how I feel about her boots. I know it sounds like the real high boots and stuff.
Yeah. Well, she's always had the knee-high boots. I mean, that's been a large staple over the years. Not every iteration has always had that, but I know I've seen more often than not that she's had knee-high boots. But it definitely helps to break up the blue.
Well, yeah, I mean that I get that. That's why I'm like, okay, but like, you know, it was cool because of like the way the skirt, the tights, and the boots went together.
Right.
It's different, and it's just
it almost seems like that's kind of like a purely aesthetic thing.
Yeah, so it's cool. I mean, it works. I don't know. Like, I was trying to find pictures of some of the other like female outfits. Like when she was the Red Daughter, which didn't have skirts.
Mm-hmm.
How the boots worked on the so yeah, it works. It's cool. I don't mind a fresh approach.
Yeah, I just can't wait to see it in action and see how it comes about.
Like you said, Wynn is coming back, which is exciting, and I'm glad because I've missed him. We're also getting the actor Jesse Rath's real sister to play the female X-5. Did you see that?
Yes, I saw that. And she plays the ghost. I forget the character's name, but she plays the ghost from Being Human with Sam Witwer.
Booyah.
And Josh Hutchinson. Yeah.
So wait. So if it's Sam.
Sam Hutchinson.
Huntington.
That's Sam Witwer.
So think about it. In that loft is Doomsday or Agent, whichever we want to go. Jimmy Olsen, and now bring it 5. So everybody go check out the American version of Being Human. So that's awesome.
I love that show. It was really good.
Me too. I don't remember where I left off in it because I was only watching on Netflix at the time, and I was caught up at the time what Netflix had. But
I watched the whole thing, and I'm pretty sure it's gone now.
I have to the library. So the other news is Jimmy Olsen's leaving. Makad Brooks, and this is spoilers. Pause for like 2 minutes, people. This isn't really spoilers, but if you're reading the current comics, there's the event Leviathan going on, and my good buddy Phil Parrish has a theory that is behind Leviathan. And then we know that in season 5, Leviathan is coming to, and then we in the series. So Just saying. Phil and I had our little discussion announcement, but
Interesting.
so he's leaving, and we're getting some new people, and I cannot remember the actor. The roles they're playing is basically who's trying to buy out Cat and the reporter that's like her aiming with her. And I think as much as I like James Olsen, because that's really the character they've tried to make him is James. I feel like he's one of those characters like you can love, but eventually outrun their purpose. And not to talk too much about how James have a desire to do a supernatural podcast. I love Cass, but at some point Cass outlived his use and just became rude and no really helped the story. That changed over time. Don't get me wrong. So before you hate me, I'm just saying like you can love a character, but then really there's nothing to do. Another example was Quentin on Arrow for a while had nothing. They just kind of had to keep him around and find. Sometimes characters outwork their purpose. You get too many characters and storylines change. So the fact that he is leaving, it sucks because I really like him. That leaves what 2 actors left that started the series that have been here the whole time. Supergirl and
I mean, with Wynn coming back, that makes 3, even though he was gone for one. But
he was gone in season 4, so he the whole time. So I'm just saying, like I get it. They probably don't have anything to do, but it makes me wonder about stuff though, like how long he'll be here, how the crisis plays into, and we'll see that being crisis. And I think that's all for Supergirl. Yeah, I can't think of anything else.
Yeah, that's the news. There was just the short trailer, which
the sizzle reel, which is they're neat because they footage from previous seasons or all seasons with like a couple of things from the. We see that it looks like Lena's going to confront Kara.
Yeah.
And she's got her synthetic Krypton, and Lena is on some sort of tech or something because we're talking about tech, not white. And so, it looks interesting. I'm excited. I do have a question for you, James. I've been thinking long and hard on.
What's that?
You don't have to answer now. I started the poll today on our Facebook. Do you prefer DC show in the style of CW or the DC universe?
Okay. Well, I voted for DC Universe on the poll.
I haven't checked my results yet. Like I've just been busy.
Not saying I don't like both.
I don't know. I mean, I love it all. It's just
I love it all. Just the only thing, and the mature content being, a minor factor in the DC Universe side, but the fact that they have the short form storytelling where they've only got maybe umpteen episodes, 12, 11, 13 episodes, 15 episodes to tell their story. Whereas, we all know that in the CW shows with, the angsty drama they put in, half of the season sometimes is filler. Yeah. That we could really, do without. And that's when you get a whole bunch of people checking their phones, that's when people are scrolling their Facebook page or their Twitter feed when they're watching the CW shows, because there's just a whole lot of mess that they don't care about. That's why there's a lot of filler.
That's why I like the way they Black Lightning, because I feel like Black Lightning and kind of lenses that happy in the sense of it's shorter storytelling, less episodes, because I'm back and forth, okay, but I like the shorter storytelling. But what I like about the CWs is I get to see my heroes do more stuff. There's more action, and I'm watching these comic book shows. I want to see my characters in costume. I want to see them use their costume and that iconic. That was one thing kind of bummed me out with Titan. The only one who really had a costume was, and he made 4 episodes, maybe 5. I wanted to see more of that. When I watch Supergirl, I know that every episode gonna have the suit doing stuff, and I feel like even with the filler, there's something, like sometimes I feel like with the short storytelling, they drag some things. And I'm like, oh, come on, and I want something to happen. Like I want action. I want moving. So I don't know. It was something. Right. It was just on my mind today because I was thinking,
I feel like with Titans season 1 and with Doom Patrol season 1. Now Doom Patrol is a little different because that is a very strong character-driven show.
Right.
Whereas Titans, it is a character-driven show, but the people are a little more well-known, and they're not as they don't have as serious of issues it would seem. So, them to kind of drag Titans season 1 out the way they did, the introduction, doing these character moments spread out, and just, they were doing a lot of intro in the first season. So I'm hoping in the second season they kind of, ramp up the pace a little bit, like, all right, these characters finally, let's see them doing some stuff, which if we, with what happened recently, a stunt coordinator being involved in an accident and being killed during a stunt, they're certainly ramping up some action, it would seem, not to make light of the situation, but, sympathies go out to the family.
Yes.
But, and then this season, we got some serious villains coming our way too, and some high action villains as opposed to, Trigon, which unfortunately we only saw in one episode and was highly mental.
Yeah. So yeah.
Not a physical threat as of yet.
And then then we have which brings us back to like our wild card DC shows, because right now we only have 2 wild card DC shows, both being prequel shows. Pennyworth is about to premiere, and it premiered at Comic-Con. But we're back to Krypton, which is on Sci-Fi. So it's the only other DC property that's not DCU or the CW. Since Gotham and on Fox, that's done. We are going back to Krypton on our Zeta B, and we are arriving in time to discuss Season 2, Episode 4. Take us there, Gene.
So Danger Close, we have Seg and Adam back on Krypton, heading towards Kandor. Seg sends Adam to Wegthor to go talk to Val and Jax-Ur and let them know that they are back, while he enters Kandor to find Lyta and try to enlist her in stopping Druzad, which come to find out she is fully on Druzad's side, and perhaps because Seg finds out that she has undergone somatic reconditioning, which after he learns that, Zod tries to put him through somatic reconditioning, but we find out that Brainiac is still inside of him and prevents the reconditioning on his mind. Adam goes to Wegthor and he joins the rebels. Jax-Ur creates a Codex bomb to kill all Sagittari on Wegthor, and during an incursion on the space elevator, I forget the actual name of it, but something like that.
They call it space elevator. That works.
The oxygenator stock was tainted, and it kills the rebellion's ground force. So a lot of their infantry suffocates to death on the surface of Wegthor. As Nyssa has the Codex that she got from Val, and she is heading back to the Sagittari. And Kem, who survived a battle, who barely survived a battle on Wegthor, was taken into custody by the rebellions, but joined the rebels. And him, Adam, and some other troops are entering the base, and the bomb had been deactivated. All the rebel troops are dead, or at least the ground troops are dead, and Adam and Kem and the squad they are with is taken captive by Lyta.
That's a good summary. It's a lot of stuff. A lot of stuff happens in this episode. It kicks off quick. It kicks off with just basically, it starts with a memory of Seg's first time meeting Lyta.
Mm-hmm.
And it kind of confused me when I saw this, because like most things in my life right now, I try to watch. I have a child, I'm a child, and Seg has his first time meeting Kim. So that's
which is different than what he had given to Brainiac, which we previously discussed in the last episode.
Which is like where thing gets confusing, because it's in that moment that what do you call it? That when he talks to Lyta, that he discovers that something's wrong. We're kind of jumping around, but we had our summary. So whatever.
Yeah, he kind of wakes up jolted because like he sees Brainiac in his dream because he's kind of like dreaming of the first time that he met her.
That's kind of what helps tip Seg off. And later when he goes to recondition, searches for Lyta and finds out that she was. So that was kind of a big deal. I do like that we do start off. So let's think about this. I'm trying to figure something out. Wakethor, okay? What is its purpose? Because I know that that's where the rebels are.
It was kind of like a mining colony almost. There's some kind of mineral ore stuff that they are up there trying to get. And I forget. They said something about it was, I think maybe that Zod is using what they mine.
Troop they find that survive. And we see that he's taken prisoner. And I actually am liking more. Now, I feel like he's got something to do. There's a new emotional depth to his character having to be recruited by the Sagittarius.
Yeah, as he states when they're talking and he's looking at the guy dead on the ground, you know, he said he hates his guts actually. And you know, that being conscripted is not the same as being a Sagittari, and you know, they're looked down upon and treated differently, you know, by the people who are and have been Sagittari, not basically enlisted or not enlisted, drafted, so to speak.
Well, I mean, you also make kind of a assumption if you think like the Sagittari, kind of like these officers.
Yeah, they're like your career military
compared to you know, people who just, you know, like you said, enlist, or people who do the national. But yeah, you know, I got respect for everybody. I'm not down anybody who does that. I do like when Seg returns. You know, we see Light's response. It's almost like, you know, watching this again. No, after the second time, you know, seeing her responses is kind of like, was her brain problem? Knowing that she will recondition, and then she sees him, and it's like she snapped, and they snap into something else.
Yeah.
And I just love the fact that
they got busy right away.
Dude, I love the fact that he goes to see her, and she's standing, but when the camera pans out, he picks her up. They're right next, literally right. I'm like, man, it's like,
yeah.
And then it kind of.
I mean, I don't.
It kind of shook me at the second because I'm like, Seg, hey, we get it. You love Lyta. Do you have any feelings towards Nissa? Because like you guys seem to really to shift that way last season. I don't know. I think
right. Well, they're definitely They're definitely right. Yeah, he is kind of in the middle here. He kind of got two women. You know, one
what a problem
has his child right now, and the other one he actually loves. But you know, she was getting ready. She was getting prepared to leave for Wegthor, and she said, "Get her transport ready." And then she turns and sees him, and she says, "Cancel that. She's not going anywhere." At least not at that moment. But yeah, he tries to convince her that Drew is a bad guy. That, you know, he's a tyrant, and you know, she's wholeheartedly going along with Drew's plans. You know, she believes in what he's doing, and I mean, come to find out, she's been reconditioned. So, you know, what kind of impact is that? Is she even acting like herself? Like, is this any part of Lyta that we had from last season, or has she been changed into somebody different for the most part?
Do you find it awkward they're talking and how they refer to their son? Like, no one's like, oh, the grown man in the future.
Right. Yeah, I mean, a bit, you know. You kind of just go with it the way it is. I mean, honestly, it would be awkward to have to deal with that. But Lyta takes Seg to Corvex because they actually have because she has Corvex, and he's wondering why, you know, Corvex is with her and not with Nissa. And this is kind of where, you know, Lyta doubles down on Drew Zod being the good guy here.
We see, we learn from about, you know, what caused him to give the Sagittari as he's talking with Primus. I like calling her Primus, but Jaina.
Yeah, Lyta's Primus now.
It's just it's a very interesting him, you know, and
yeah, we see why he's abandoned his when he's gone AWOL because he didn't believe in killing a bunch of innocents, and the orders were to blow the mine and kill everybody inside, and he didn't want to do it, but he tried to fight for it, but he lost that fight. And when he came to, Kem, he was with Kem, and he already knew what had happened, and Kem gave him some information so he could get out of, because he was basically under arrest for disobeying a direct order.
So I do like when they go to take Seg for this. I mean, I do like that he gets his haircut, his beard. I'm awkward like that, where I cannot stand Seg's hair in the first season, and I'm not a beard person. And part of it's why, because I'm not one of those like anti people, but I feel like I've known they've just kind of ruined it because it's the
yeah, you can't be a hipster with a beard.
Like
I got a beard, but I'm not a hipster.
Right. It's like the hipsters have just like built like the beard. Like it has to be like done a certain way to be like a Mr. Beard. And I'm just like, I told Junia, I was like, I don't want to grow one. And so I like the clean shape.
You can't have a beard and a man bun. Just doesn't work. Unless
you're
okay, well,
that man can pull it off just because he's Jason, but like
well, if you have a beard and a man bun, and you chug a couple dozen beers and then throw axes, you're good.
And then say, I'm Aquaman. Yeah, you're good, okay. But most of the people who do those things aren't. So, but. Yeah, so it's just, and I think once with his hair fixed and shaved, and I say that honestly, he looks like he could be Superman. I know he's like Superman's grandfather and everything, but he looks like he could be, which is great because, like I've said multiple times, Jor-El himself is supposed to look a lot like Kal-El, and no movie ever does a job in Kal-El look like he. So yeah. I think it's interesting the way the Codex looks in this series, being completely different. The skull look of a Codex that we got in Man of Steel. This looks more like a wizard's wand from Harry Potter.
Right. Kind of almost like with the helix shape, because it's kind of like two strands kind of twisted around each other, kind of like a DNA, like double helix DNA type strand. Almost. Maybe that was an idea of how they designed it this time around.
I like it because I just think it looks more what you would think of some coding. I love Segel when he like talking to the guy like, oh yeah, what's this button do? Oh, that's cool. I'll do this, man. He just went to him, punched him.
Yeah. Yeah, that was a pretty good scene. He gets into a fight. He knocks the guy out so he can figure out what's going on. That's when he finds out Lyta's been reconditioned, and Zod discovers, him finding that out. And then he's attacked and put in the chair to have his go at it. And the thing happens. He does it. He starts the chair up and everything, and kind of seems like it all went through. And then the guy's kind of like reviewing, as it were. He probably has, it's probably something that has to be done, like go through it and then like review whatever. And then he kind of sees like the split in the mind almost, like, because I don't know if that's like a visual, like, is that a camera or is that kind of like a holographic representation of the mind, especially when you see like Brainiac and Seg's heads kind of merged and screaming in two different directions.
I like the idea of like if Seg kind of becomes the wolf and a man of action, so that his son, he preaches to be more of a man of peace and science the way he wanted to be, but because of circumstances, I just kind of think that'd be an interesting character because of what Seg's. I also want to point out, if you know, that once they're supposed to like dissolve the rank, like Drew Zod still wears his, and so does Val, but it just seems like they're trying to get the ranks to make everybody kind of equal, but yet Drew will always put himself above it.
Right. Well, I kind of think like the family crest is. I think the family crest is a little different than like your rank. like he is going to hold himself above everybody. He wants to be, he wants to be the all powerful leader where everybody follows him. But I think the family crest is a little different. That's kind of just showing like your family pride, the pride in your beliefs and things like that. So I don't see the crest having much to do with like per se your rank in society, more as your rank as more of an identifier of who you are and who your family is, and for Zod it means one thing, and for the L's it means another. It means one thing to people.
I still want more explanation. How is he as he's Sagel's son? Stuff like that. So Kim, helps us like with Adam go to the Sagittarius, and it's kind of funny because he's got this awesome data scrambler, and I'm like, why didn't you just use that in the first?
Yeah, you really don't know.
I'm liking Adam a lot more this season. I will say that, and because I just feel like there's a whole lot to do, and I would like to see him at one point kind of in.
Right. Especially with all like the planet hopping they're doing this season. At least something more representing his costume. I mean, because let's face it, he looks like the Rocketeer, but
the Rocketeer's awesome. And right now he's just wearing this isn't a Marvel TV series. You can do more than a hoodie.
Right. Yeah, I agree.
See some jetpacks and flying, everything. He'd just be like, I'm strange, and shoot people.
Right. I got a ray gun. I got dual ray guns, and I got a rocket pack.
Yeah.
That'd be pretty cool.
Yeah. And I like how we have these have Seg, Rebels, have Zod. Every time I see
Lyda, Nyssa.
Every time I see it's like they're
right. Those kind of seem that way.
I mean, I just, like we said, like we know that they're up there, but I feel like they're more, to me, it's just as like if I was part of it, I feel like they're more vulnerable being on Wake. Like Wake Thor is where you'd hide.
Well, I mean, it's kind of like, your base of operations, your land, you kind of know the terrain better than people who don't work there or live there. I mean, it's open war. It's not quite guerrilla tactics, and except for when it comes to each battle, but it's open war, and the planet knows both sides of it. So I mean, hiding doesn't really get your point across.
True. Oh, how did you feel watching this? We discovered the oxygen.
Yeah, that's kind of rough when you watch like a whole group of people kind of just like choke and suffocate to death.
Like, I was like, wow. But at the same time, I was like, doesn't surprise me.
No.
Sod.
Yeah. Like you're expected that people are going to die.
I thought that was, in a way, he played Nyssa so that no matter what she did, even if it went back, so she put her in a situation that's sad. Nyssa take Codex, how trusts Nyssa. And it's kind of sad. I think anybody's on her own side. Like, I get it, she wants her son, but man, like, I don't know. I'm speaking from as a parent too. Like,
yeah, you'd do anything it takes to get your children back.
And then the episode closes with Lyta showing surround Adam and Kim. So how do you feel about the episode?
I mean, strong episodes and things are coming to light. We've had some questions about Lyta. We kind of see Nyssa being from both sides, and it's kind of wondering if if maybe she didn't have any somatic reconditioning of her own, but we don't know that yet.
I kind of want, because I feel I'm torn, because in one way I want her to have, because then I can be like, oh, that's why she's like the other way. I'm like, don't, because then it makes her a stronger character that she makes.
Yeah. I think that her making the choices herself is definitely the better way to go. Because she's doing what she needs to do to get her child back. But I mean, she doesn't seem like, she's doing what she needs to do, but she doesn't seem to have like much malice going on. She kind of seems like she's in a hard position.
Mm-hmm.
You know what I mean?
Yeah.
So, but strong episode, and we find Brainiac is still within Seg, and he was supposed to have been pulled out last episode. So where's that still going at this point? So some questions, some answers,
There's one person who's not on here that Solomon keeps asking me about Doomsday Daddy. I'm like, buddy, I want to know too, because I'm bummed.
Yeah, it really makes me wonder what a rampaging killing machine is doing on a planet 6+ months later, and it basically hides out.
Now I'm curious if this Doomsday is the one that kills, because like Doomsday, right. You kill Doomsday, comes back again or something. Are we at the?
Yeah, comes back more powerful and can't be killed the same way again.
Yeah, and I mean we've seen it different ways, in the comics, on Smallville of how Doomsday and stuff. So I'm wondering if there's going to be, if this Doomsday has or something. I don't know.
Right. Yeah. I did bring that up when we saw him that one time, and the reason why this Doomsday isn't rampaging and just destroying the entire planet is because this is still an early stage Doomsday where it needs to be killed a couple of times to come back stronger and more powerful,
There's different ways.
Mm-hmm.
But what would you rate this episode?
Kind of seems like I'm on a trend here with about an 8.5. I had some strong emotional stuff. I'm gonna stick with an 8.5 again. It's really, really good season, really good show. I'm enjoying going back and rewatching the episodes to get caught up for our recordings here. So, seeing them over and over again.
That's the real test of how not is if you can watch the episode again and again, get more. I like this episode. To me, it was good. I would give it probably a 7.5. But I don't know. It's some stuff happened, but some stuff did. But I really like the stuff with Seg in this episode, more towards 8.
Okay. Yeah. It's all really good.
It's all really. I want to see some fighting. I want to see Seg do something. I want to see Adam don a costume and fly off into the sunset.
Yeah, I mean the first 3 episodes were really good. We got out of the Phantom Zone. We were on Kolu. We had Lobo. There was antagonistic thing going on there. And then we had on Krypton and Wegthor, we had the establishment of Zod's regime and the rebellion going on. So we kind of got things lined up, and now this episode is the first episode we get with Seg and Adam. I kind of put them two together.
I'll take
when I say Sam, it's Seg and Adam. When we get Seg and Adam back on world, now we got to kind of introduce them into what's going on there. So it kind of, this episode just kind of took a step back and was like, okay, now these two people have to be introduced into what's going on here, and then we can go from there and pick things back up again, which is my hope. I mean, we got Brainiac, we got Zod, and we still got Doomsday, and who knows if Lobo is going to make it to Crap Town or not.
Yeah, that's kind of been my thoughts. Is he coming back, or are we seeing him?
Right, because he does have that scanner. So did he scan? Is that Brainiac? Was that a part of Brainiac? And it satisfied him, and he's done, or did it come up again that's not Brainiac, and now he's got to chase Seg and Adam to find out what's going on.
We'll find out shortly. Now, do we remember? I'm trying to remember the exact number of how many we have to go in this season of. So we have till August 14th.
This week will be episode 7, 8. Yeah, 10 episodes.
And I think that's right there, at the 10 episode, that sweet spot. It's long and short.
Right. Yeah, it's definitely, it's definitely long enough to get a lot of good story, but it's also short enough where you don't have time for the filler. Everything is meant to have a point, and even if it's minor, like it's there for a reason because the characters need it to be there.
All right. Well, that's going to wrap up our discussion of episode 4 of Super Close of Krypton.
Look up in the sky.